Hello everyone, my name is Jason, aka Bacon Chest, coach of the Kilda Serperiors. Welcome to week 2 of the ICBA D-League. This week we're going up against Hat and the Portland Trailblazers. If you've watched our team builder, you'll know that our team is comprised of a Shift Gear beginner, Life Orb, 4 attacks, Nidoking, Bulky Blastoise, an Expert Belt, Tailwind, 3 attacks, Tornadus, and then 2 Choice Scarf users in the form of Frostlass and Latios to try and take on the monster that is Deoxys Speed. So, if we look at Hat's team, what we see is the Incineroar, the Mega Gyarados, the Deoxys Speed, the Gengar, the Garchomp, and something I absolutely did not expect, the Delcatty. This is actually a real problem for our team, like, no joke. Just purely because I have 2 Scarfmons carrying Shadow Ball, and so having a normal type is actually a real problem. I mean, pretty much any other normal type might have been more useful, but this one, in this specific circumstance, is actually a bit of a problem. So, let's just hop right into the match. So, I decided to lead off with Frostlass as he leads off with Gengar. Looking at that, I'd sort of been expecting, going into the match, I'd sort of been expecting a bulky, potentially AV, Incineroar, DD3 attacks Gyarados, hazard stacking, or just really offensive, hazard stacking but potentially really offensive Deoxys. No idea what to expect from Delcatty, and then I was expecting one of Gengar and Garchomp to be scarfed, and the fact that he's led off with it leads me to believe, especially since, you can see in the chat that he says that I bought literally the same team as Blue, one of his people helping him out with prep. I'm like, well, this is a Scarf Gengar. Like, there's no way you see this team, see a Frostlass, and think, yeah, lead off with my non-Scarf Gengar. So that's a bit of a problem, because I don't really have a good Ghost Switch in, at all. So I just decide to switch out, and go into my beginner. We take 39% and he gets the special defense drop, and that's quite annoying because now I'm going to take like 60. I am potentially within range of a Shadow Ball right now, and I can't Shift Gear up because I still won't outspeed a Gengar. So my play here is to click Shadow Ball. I, in hindsight, should have clicked the Electrium Z Thunderbolt that I had on this beginner, just because it would have been a guaranteed one-hit KO. It does minimum 100%. As you can see, I click Shadow Ball instead and do 93%, and that's just heartbreaking. That was about a 50-50 roll. I think it was about a 56% chance to KO. So that's really annoying, because now we have to, instead of keeping our beginner around a sack fodder for later, potentially outspeeding things like the Incineroar, potentially outspeeding things like the Delcatty, also just being a Steel type, potentially useful just for later on, where instead just forced to stack this off. I go out into my Tornadus because I know that I'm going to outspeed, and I decide to set up a Tailwind here, knowing that, being a little bit worried about the switch into something like the Deoxys or a Scarf Garchomp in particular. I think that's what I was worried about there. But this Tailwind's actually really good, because he brings out the Mega Gyarados, and I can just click Grass Knot here and do a huge percentage to this thing. As he's able to click Crunch, does huge percentage back to me. I can just click Grass Knot again because nothing really wants to switch in, and Gengar still dies, so he just sacks off the Gengar. Fair enough. It had done its purpose by getting rid of Magina so early in the game. Brings out this Incineroar, and my only real switch into this thing is my physically defensive Blastoise, so I'm just going to go straight out into it. Take the Darkest Lariat. That tells me he's probably Adamant Max Attack. I'm thinking maybe at this point, like, Adamant Max Attack, Max HP is the set that I'm expecting. As I just go for a Scald, fishing for the burn. We don't get the burn, which is a bit annoying, as he brings in the Garchomp. And I have bought this thing to take on Garchomp. Probably by the fact that he's brought it in, I should have expected not a Scarf variant, like a bulky variant. And given the fact that he's brought it in, he's probably brought it in to try and get up rocks. So yeah, we see that he goes for the Toxic, as I also go for the Toxic, wanting to wear this thing down. So to be honest, not getting the burn, not the worst thing in the world, just because now I can, like, guarantee that this thing will go down in the long run. Although obviously burnt Garchomp wouldn't have been as much of a threat anyway. But yeah, so he takes a little bit of toxic damage. Here's where I should have predicted these rocks and just gone straight for the Rapid Spin. I didn't think about the fact that my Tornadus was actually below 25%. I, for some reason, thought it was on about 28 at this point, and so I just decided to click Scald to get damage off on this thing, because I'm thinking, yep, that's fine, I can just Rapid Spin next turn, which I do as he clicks the Earthquake, and that's not doing too much because I'm really defensive and he's not very offensive. But the problem is that I'm now at 6%, which means that I will die to Rough Skin, which means he is able to safely get up the rocks, and I click Scald there because it didn't matter. I mean, I don't think I thought about that at the time, but yeah, if I click Rapid Spin there, I die to Rough Skin, which means I don't get rid of the hazards, which is quite annoying. So Garchomp goes down, Blastoise goes down, and now we're 4-4, but I'm in a pretty bad position because it's actually 4-3, with Tornadus going down. So I'm going to send out Tornadus here because I have no way of getting rid of those hazards, and this way at least I get the Switch Initiative. So I'm able to bring out Nidoking, and now I just get a kill because Nidoking does not have Switch-Ins from this team. So we're just able to click Earth Power. Cool, Gyarados is out of the way, that's quite nice. Brings out the Deoxys, and, like, where are my switch-ins? The only thing I have that's going to take an Ice Beam is Frostlass, so I'm just going to go straight out into it. Yep, cool, we're able to live that hit, and he's Life Orb, very, very offensive set. And now here's where the Delcatty starts to become a problem, because between Delcatty and Incineroar, I just can't click Shadow Ball, and Shadow Ball's my only move that's going to deal damage to this Deoxys. So, obviously Incineroar's a very safe switch in here. I should have aggressively doubled out into Nidoking. I think that was probably my only play to try and win at this point, was to just make some really, really aggressive doubles out into Nidoking every time, just to try and pick up those kills every time it came in. Instead, I'm now forced to basically sack off this Frostlass as he just clicks U-turn. You know, could have killed me there, but obviously was expecting me to switch. So yeah, I mean, even that play wouldn't have helped me there in that case, because he did actually just click the U-turn. As he now goes for Baton Pass, I'm just forced to repeatedly Shadow Ball here. He now clicks U-turn, so now I'm within Rock's range, so Frostlass is, yeah, out of the running, and yeah, you'll see, like, we go on to lose this game. There's not much I can do at this point. I bring in Nidoking, but he's gone for the Baton Pass on the Wish, so he's able to get out Deoxys, and I'm forced to sack off Frostlass. Like, yeah, I've basically made a few mistakes in my prep, made a few mistakes in the early game, and it's really, really cost me here, because this is actually pretty funny though, because you see that, yeah, like, I bring out my Latios, I'm able to bring out the Latios, I'm forcing out the Deoxys, so I'll get a kill here with Lati, I'm thinking, because I click the Draco, does 72%, awesome, even after lefties, that's still, like, you know, well over half of that. Nope. No, that was a very, very, like, absolute min roll, pretty much. I think the min roll was maybe, like, 31.7, and we get a min roll on that Delcatty, which means it's able to get off a Wish, and Latios is just feeling pretty pathetic at this point. Brings out the Deoxys, and the Deoxys is now back at full once again. So I'm forced to sack off Nidoking here, and basically hope that we get some crits at the end of the game, because the only move I can lock myself into is Draco. We click the Draco, we don't even kill the Deoxys, which is unideal. But we can now click Draco again, which is nice. So we finally get rid of that Delcatty, the most lethal mon. And now, if we get a crit here, we do actually win, but as you can see, we didn't deserve it, and we don't get it. So we're Incineroar's able to finish off with the Darkest Lariat. So, bit of an unfortunate game there. I'm not feeling like I prepped particularly well, don't feel like I played particularly well, but that said, GG to Hat, was very well prepped. The Delcatty was more than a meme, it was actually quite a useful bring in this game. And Scarf Gengar was really good. My team does not have a Ghost Resist, which is something we may have to fix in the future. So that's a bit of a problem. And just generally, you know, the combination of offensive Deoxys Speed, a defensive Incineroar, and Gengar was just a really big problem. I think if I'd been more careful with Tornadus, I think we could have won this game really easily, just because setting up a Tailwind and bringing out Nidoking would have just been like kill after kill after kill for this team. But them's the breaks, so that moves us to 1-1. Unfortunately, this was a divisional matchup, so like we're 1-1, but our record is slightly worse than that in terms of tie-breaking for playoffs. But hopefully we'll be able to bounce back next week against Matt Metagross and the Washington Redskitty. So GG once again to Hat, and until next time, peace.